This is the ENGWE Engine Pro. In this review, I'll be going over unboxing, the folding capabilities, ride quality, specs and features, and comparing some aspects to my other folding e-bike, the Ebike Mars 2.0. The unboxing and assembly of this bike was fairly straightforward. One tip is that instead of pulling the bike straight up, your box might be open like mine on the bottom, and you can actually just lift the box up and off the bike instead. It was a little easier since the bike is so heavy. There was a ton of padding and zip ties, but the actual assembly wasn't too complicated. There are some good assembly videos on YouTube that I'll link below. A more interesting part of the setup to me was checking out the setting menus and customizing some options. You can toggle between modes by holding the middle button, or go into the settings by holding the plus and minus. Double check your units, brightness settings, auto power timing, and the max speed you want to achieve. There's also a cruise mode that can maintain your throttle after 8 seconds of holding it, auto headlight control, and what I found pretty neat was onboard power settings. This was done on the app with my Ebike, so I like to see all the settings being customizable on board the bike. Being able to choose from 3, 5, 7, or 9 power modes really lets you dial in the speeds and assistance you want for each level. Let's go over some of the differences between the Engine Pro and the Mars 2.0. Starting with the cockpit. The buttons, colored screen, better shifter, and hydraulic disc brakes are an upgrade over the black and white LED screen, lower end shifter, and mechanical disc brakes. I'm glad to see these various upgrades since the price is a few $100s more than the Ebike. The horn on the Mars 2.0 is louder and has a better pitch, in my opinion, than the engine. Both tires are 20 inches by 4 inches, but the wheels and spokes are very different. The solid spokes should require less maintenance. The derailleur on the engine is 2 trims higher in Shimano's rear derailleur lineup than the Ebike, but with throttle assist, you'll probably rarely ever be changing gears. Both of the pedals fold in for easier storage, but the engines were a bit smoother. The seat on the engine feels a bit firmer and sturdier since the Ebike's is on a hinge to access the battery. The seat post on the engine also has nice markings for quick adjustments. The integrated seat post suspension on the Ebike is pretty responsive, but the rear suspension on the engine provides a smoother ride overall. The front suspension forks are almost identical, and both can be locked out with a flick of the switch. The rear rack on the engine is smaller than the Ebike, and it has a lower stated weight capacity, but it still feels very sturdy. In my Ebike review, I made a Packout plate adapter for the rear rack. Adding the extra storage is a game changer. So let's make a quick modification to the plate to work with both bikes. A few minutes with an oscillating multi-tool, and this plate is now mountable on both bikes for Packout compatibility. The folding mechanism of the two bikes is almost identical. The main lever keeps the top tube together, and there's a small kickstand below the bottom bracket to rest on. But the pedals can get in the way, so make sure to rotate them out of place before placing the bikes down. The Ebike functions the same way, but getting the battery out is more convenient. There is constant access from the outside, but you can only remove the engine's battery when the bike is opened. It might be less convenient for quick swaps of the battery, but it is more secure. When the bike is folded up, it can fit places other full-size bikes just can't, like the back of my Honda Accord. This bike is pretty heavy at more than 70 pounds, so it's not an easy task, but the ability to do it is worth the hassle for me. The handlebar folds down towards the wheels, and I took the battery out to save a few pounds while moving the bike. Getting it out of the car isn't easy either, but there are a few convenient places to grab the bike, like the handle in front of the seat. An important feature for convenience and safety is the front and rear lights. The engine has kind of a strange beam pattern, and it's a little bit less bright than the Ebike. There are 2 red bulbs on the rear of the engine that glow brighter when the brakes are applied. The Ebike's rear light bar is far more visible and flashes when braking. I hope the engine gets an upgrade like this in the future for better visibility. Both headlights can get you home at night, but if you're really going to ride at night, I recommend getting a dedicated flashlight for your helmet. This is the Olight Javelot. It has over 1,000 lumens on high and has a far throw. As you can see, the engine's headlight brightens up the path ahead, but if you want to see farther ahead or check your surroundings, you can't see it very well. Compared to the Olight, visibility is increased directly in front of you and you can see much further. I'll link this light below and a few other safe options in the description. One other neat feature to remember is the walk assist. Hold the down arrow and the motor kicks in at 2 miles per hour so you can walk with ease. The top speed of the ENGWE engine is stated as 30 miles per hour on the website. I have reached that speed a couple times, but it is heavily dependent on the terrain, wind, tire pressure, and battery life. On this brand new road that's pretty flat, I easily reach 29 miles per hour with minimal pedaling. And to combat those high top speeds, the hydraulic disc brakes work very well. The fat tires and dual suspension works well for some light off-roading like grassy paths. And the bike handles gravel paths very well. The increased resistance with the gravel path does slow you down a bit more than on pavement, but with some light pedaling and in the rain, 25 miles per hour was pretty easy. If you're looking for a capable folding e-bike for commuting and adventuring, you can't go wrong with the ENGWE Engine Pro. Check out the links in the description. Don't forget to wear a helmet, and I'll see you in the next one.